I wonder what's going on in the CarX community today. Oh, massive problem, huh? Let's check this out.
It's not pay to win to have a car that has special parts. If there's special parts, you just drive around in freedom. The game is not pay to win. So people are constantly saying it's pay to win. You're wrong. It's just not. And you're stupid for thinking that.
What's going on, guys, and welcome back to CarX Street, where today we have a lot to talk about. Now, I want to start this video off by making one thing clear. People are allowed to have a difference of opinions. In fact, I believe that being able to have a respectful discussion in face of a disagreement is actually where the most productive conversations can be had and where the best solutions can be found for everyone. And that's what we're after here at NTNS. So with that out of the way, let's talk about CarX Street. So the first thing I want to touch on, guys, is actually a pair of updates in the Sunset City Hub Discord, which I'll leave a link to in the description down below. The first one is a little long, so I'll let you guys check that out in the Discord if you are looking to read the whole thing for yourselves, but the basics are as follows. CarX is going to be offering a free access key to the Sunset Speedway DLC that came out this past Friday for anybody who bought the deluxe edition on Steam on August 29th between the hours of 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. UTC time. The post does go into a bit better depth about exactly why they're only offering the access key to this group of players, but the basics are they posted the game at a certain price. This price was $29.99, and it was originally intended to include the Sunset Speedway DLC. Well, when the game came out, Steam automatically lowered the price to $21.68, but still included the DLC in the description, so players were under the assumption for those 2 hours that if they bought this deluxe edition, then they would receive that DLC. CarX was pretty quick to update the description of the deluxe edition so that players wouldn't be misled, but there was a 2-hour window where players would assume that for the $21.68 they would receive the DLC. I have seen a bunch of confusion within the community where a bunch of people swear they saw that Sunset Speedway was included in the deluxe edition and others say they never saw that at all, and I think that explains it. So firstly, I do want to say good on the CarX devs for communicating with us like this. I feel like it really helps us as a community feel heard and valued when we know what's going on. Now, the way this is going to work is if you guys did purchase the deluxe edition on Steam in this time frame, you can send them an email with your proof of purchase just to prove that you did purchase the game within that time, and then they're going to send you your access key. Now, I do feel like this update came out a little bit late. It came out a full 3 days after the DLC dropped, so I feel like a lot of the people who bought the deluxe edition right at launch like that have already purchased the DLC separately anyway, and I'm not sure if they're going to be reimbursed. I do believe my purchase does fit the criteria for that access key, but I won't be chasing a refund because honestly, I feel like this $8 is worth the content that we get. I think it's a phenomenal update, and I'm happy to support the devs with that money. Now, the second update in the Sunset City Hub Discord is a short one, guys. We're all getting 250 street coin added to our account, so make sure you guys check your games. So, on the topic of DLC and what is worth it, I do want to touch a little bit on the state of this game and the DLCs that we have received already. I think at this point we have 2 solid examples of paid DLC for CarX Street, one being a huge win and the other one not so much. Now, I want to make one thing very clear here, guys. My goal, just like my boy Magic IQ, link to his channel in the description down below, is to make CarX Street the best game it possibly can be and keep it alive. I actually feel like at its core, this is the most diverse and enjoyable car game on the market right now, and I want you guys to know that anything critical that I say or that you guys hear from me is coming from a place of love and wanting to see this game succeed. So that being said, Sunset Speedway absolutely slaps. It's absolutely massive, it's beautiful to look at, and it gives all of us who decided to purchase the DLC something new to do without giving us an advantage over other players. There are 4 new cars included in this DLC, but they are well balanced, at least as far as I understand, with all the other cars in the game. So definitely let me know if you guys have experienced anything different. Maybe if you've seen one of these new cars absolutely wrecking the rest of the cars in its class, let me know down in the comments below. For $8, I feel like this DLC was absolutely worth the money, and I'm happy to support the devs with more DLCs like this one in the future. However, Magic IQ made a really good point on this in his video on the subject, which I'll leave a link to in the description down below in case you guys want to check out. But basically what he was saying was that charging for this DLC could end up turning players away, whereas including it for free would have brought more players into the game. And I think he's right, and I think that's what we all want to see at the end of the day as well, is a bunch of players on this game enjoying it and keeping it alive. Now, I'm sure it's got to be a fine line for the CarX devs between developing free features like optimization, online traffic, livery editor, things of that sort, and paid DLC in order to keep the lights on. Keep in mind, guys, this is a business with overhead costs, and in order for us to keep getting content, the game does have to be profitable. As much as we all wish these games could be passion projects, they do have to make a buck. So here's my question for you guys. If DLCs like Sunset Speedway were free to access for all players who previously purchased the game, either the deluxe edition or the base game, what would you like to see come into the game as paid DLC in order to support these devs? Let me know down in the comments below. So I think we can all agree that Sunset Speedway was a great DLC and that most of us who purchased are having a great time on it. However, I do want to talk about a different DLC that kind of pissed off half the community, and of course I'm talking about the DLC drift cars with the prototype parts. Now, I, as well as a few other creators, have labeled these parts as pay to win, and as much as some people might think I'm a big, dumb, stinky, stupid idiot or whatever for feeling this way, I want to talk about this a little bit because I do think that that's a correct assessment, and here's why. These paid cars have access to parts which allow for better tuning over their stock counterparts. This includes, but is not limited to, steering angle, Ackerman, and suspension stiffness values, as well as more horsepower for stock engines. Now, I actually think these prototype parts are really cool, and I think that they should be available for all the cars in the game. My problem with them is that there's no way for players to earn these prototype parts without purchasing the DLC. And I know some people get mad at me because they say that these cars aren't providing an advantage on the leaderboards or in online races, which is a fair point, but I don't think we as a community should be limiting limiting our definition of pay to win to only competitive environments, especially in a game that's mostly about the free mode experience anyway. This disagreement on whether or not these cars are pay to win come from a difference in how we define what pay to win is. So pay to win is defined by Google AI as follows. It's a gaming model where players can use real money to gain advantages over other players. This can include buying powerful items, unlocking exclusive content, getting in-game currency that gives an edge, and purchasing weapons or abilities. And I think this is a pretty good definition, and by this definition, the advantage that you would be receiving by purchasing this DLC is access to better tuning. And I'm going to say this loudly for the people in back. Pay to win should not be defined by the environment in which a pay-only advantage is given, rather by the fact that a pay-only advantage is available at all. This is largely a free roam game, guys, so it makes sense that they would implement pay-to-win tactics in free mode settings. And people say, what are you winning though? But the answer is pretty simple for me. You're winning better cars with better tuning, and therefore you're going to have a better experience on the game if you pay for the DLC, especially as a high-level drifter, guys. In what world do you not opt for the most steering angle on a drift car? See, tuning is a huge part of the CarX experience, and drifting specifically is so much about understanding and developing the way your car handles through tuning decisions. Having access to prototype parts with better tuning values and more decisions to be made is going to allow a higher skilled drifter to create a better car than what is possible with the car in the base game. For example, a higher skilled drifter is always going to opt for maximum steering lock wherever they can get it, IRL and in games. Having more steering lock or steering angle means that you can achieve more angle in a drift while counter steering to save the car from spinning out. It's a clear advantage to have more steering angle in any drift situation than the guy who doesn't have that angle kit. Now, it's not to say that the higher skilled drifter can't drift a car without an angle kit. I'm just saying that it is a clear advantage to have it. It doesn't matter whether you guys are running tandems in free mode, grinding drift clubs for money, or if you're running an FD competition on Twitch for a $100 Amazon gift card. An advantage is an advantage, and if you guys bought that DLC S15, your car is going to be better than the guy who didn't. Now, it's not to say that he can't beat you on pure skill, but you do have an advantage over him by having better tuning. See, they made these prototype parts available on 3 different cars, the S15, the 180SX, and the RX-7. So for example, if we were going to run like a C5 FD competition, we'd have to ban all 3 cars just to keep things fair across the players who purchased the DLC and the players who didn't. This is because that 180SX, for example, there's no way for us to determine whether that's a DLC 180 or one that they bought from the car dealership, and that's really too bad because these are 3 of the most popular drift choices for any FD competition anyway. See, at least in a situation where players could purchase in-game currency in order to support the devs, players would be left with the option to not do that if they didn't want to. They could play the game, grind it out, and earn money that way, or they could just use Wiimod like most players are anyway in order to get money on their accounts. But at least in that situation, players are left with a choice. Right now, if you want that best drift S15 that you can possibly get, you have to pay for it. There's no other way to earn it, and that's my biggest problem with the prototype parts on the paid DLC. And fine, I'll let you guys even define pay to win differently. Maybe you don't like my definition and you want to make sure that it's only applicable to like online races and leaderboards. Okay, fine, you can have that definition, even though it's still wrong because you have drift clubs for grinding and drift competitions, but whatever, I'll give you guys that definition. It's still greasy as hell to charge money to allow players to access maximum tuning values without awarding them any opportunity to earn those values in game. Just because people aren't using these prototypes to place on the leaderboards doesn't mean this is good game design or good for the game or the community in the long run. Prototype parts should absolutely be available for all cars and purchasable with in-game money, even if they make it a high price. It's a slippery slope if we allow these prototype parts to go unchallenged. What's to stop them from adding prototype tires or downforce? That's why in my big stupid book, prototype parts are pay to win. Sunset Speedway did paid DLC right. Extra optional content that's well balanced with the existing content already in the game. There's no extra advantages, just extra experiences, and I think that's what makes the Sunset Speedway DLC well worth the money. Now, of course, I want to hear you guys' opinions on this, so definitely let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and just know, if you guys disagree with me, I absolutely do not think you're stupid. Let's make sure we keep things respectful down there, as that is how we roll here at NTNS. If you guys made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys a ton. If you did enjoy the video or found it useful at all, please feel free to leave a like down below and subscribe for more just like it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.